Alright, so this is video 4, continuing after step 10 of adding controls, which is right here. So if you're following along on a different day, this video is starting at spawning the enemies, where the first thing we're going to do is add an event that is a system event for every X seconds, and we're going to set the X seconds to 0.7 to 2 seconds randomly. Okay? So at this point, here's our layout. And then obviously here's our event sheet. We're going to add a new event that happens to be a system event. And then we're going to do every X seconds. And now instead of the interval of a specific number, we're going to give it the ability to randomly choose numbers by typing the random function. Right? And now we're going to give it its range. The range lives within a pair of parentheses, and the range is separated by commas. 0.7, comma, 2.0. You cannot just put 0.7. 0.7 is not going to work. You have to do 0.7. That's specific to construct, so don't forget that. When you hit done, okay, we have the event of every random amount of time. We are going to create an object. And we're going to create the object specifically enemy rotate. So we have an enemy rotate right here on the left, and we're going to create this enemy at a specific location at a random time. So we're going to hit add action. We're going to do system, create, object. All right, the question is, what object are we going to create? I just told you, enemy rotate. So we just select it. The layer has to be on the player layer. We want it on this layer here. So we have to type that here, and if you start typing it exactly, you should be able to see it, and if you don't, something's going wrong. I don't see it. So I'm going to assume that I don't have quotations. So I'm going to do quote, start typing it, and I see player layer. So sometimes if things don't pop up automatically, you're forgetting a quotation. Okay? So grab player layer by double clicking it. I know you can spell it, but double click it. It will automatically spell it correctly every time. You might make a mistake. So just double click it. There's no pride in being the one that had to manually type it. Double click. Okay, correction of location. We don't want X and Y 0 because it'll only be in the upper corner. So we want X should be random. There's your random function. We're throwing out a range, 0, comma, layout, start typing L-A-Y-O-U-T, and then you'll see layout width. Just double click it. So we're going to go on X random, 0 to layout width, which will be the whole horizontal span of the screen, followed by random, do the range, and then inside it's 0, comma, layout height. And then just double click it so you don't accidentally spell it wrong. Okay? So when we say done, we have an event. This will only happen once every 0.7 to 2 seconds. So we're going to create duplicates of this 2 more times. So select here on the left edge so it turns fully yellow. Hit Control C. Hit Control V after you deselect it, and hit Control V again, and now we have 3 copies of the same code. All right? So where we are on these instructions at this point are right here. Add 1 more copy of an event and action. I did 2. So I have 3 different copies instead of 2. So you can change it if you want. This is not going to affect it. It'll make the game harder. We're going to replace enemy rotate on the first copy with a collectible. So this is how we can recycle code. So we want one of these things to become the collectible, the one that's not going to hurt us. So let's just take the second one, double click it. Instead of enemy rotate, just select it, change it to collectible, say OK, and done. So now we have collectibles that will show up. We have enemies that will show up. Let's hit play and see what happens. Maybe there's too many enemies because I added double. Let's see. Enemies might show up way too much. Let's see. Yeah, those enemies, there's a lot of them. right, remember, we're going to get sign vertical and sign horizontal. So at this point, maybe it's too many enemies. I'm going to delete one of the sets. Okay? And then I'll take a quick look at the steps here and see if there's anything else we can squeeze in with the time that we have left. Okay, we're going to do one more event. We're going to add an event that will wait 5 to 8 seconds and then delete those families that have been created at that point. So they will expire too, because otherwise they're just going to add up and it's going to be really overwhelming and impossible to play. All right, so at this point, we're going to select the enemies family, and then we'll do on created. Let's see here. I think it might be system on created. Wait 5 to 8 seconds. I might be a system on created. No. Does anybody have the on created step done that I'm faltering at? There it is. I just typed created. There it is. So back to where I was, just to reiterate, it seems to just not pulled up before, but for the add event, the condition, when you click it, will be enemy, and then just type create. You will see on created. So when these enemies are created, remember they're part of the family, we're going to now have the system wait 5 to 8 seconds and then destroy them. So we're going to go add action, system, wait. And the question is going to be how much time? Well, we don't want it the same time predictably. So we're going to type in random. Then we're going to put in our range of 5, 8. Between 5 and 8 seconds, we are going to wait. And then we're going to destroy those enemies. So we'll go to enemies, destroy. So when they get created, they wait between 5 and 8 seconds. And I have a point instead of a comma. And then they'll get destroyed. Let's test this. Let's see if the enemies go away every 5 to 8 seconds. So I'm watching for enemies to show up. Those enemies that do show up, and even those collectibles, but the enemies are going away. The collectibles are staying because we said destroy the family of enemies, not anything with collectibles. So I should be able to just blast through here and get all the collectibles. But the enemies that are not accumulating are being destroyed between 5 and 8 seconds. That's how we can handle an automatic but overwhelming amount of stuff. Okay, we just tell stuff to go away when we're done. So at this point, I want to stop the video. We are going to continue with back on the layout, cloning particles and changing them to black, because we obviously, when the enemies hit us, they're going to blow up and they're a different color. So that's where we're going to start the next video. Okay, this was a very short video. Hopefully it was digestible. 8 minutes and 30 seconds.